I planned an incredible beach getaway for my girlfriend's birthday, but she ended up ditching me for her friends and things got complicated. I'm a 28-year-old man, and I've been with my girlfriend, who's 25, for 8 months. She has a very close-knit group of friends from high school, and she rarely makes a decision without consulting them first. We met at a work event about a year ago, started chatting, and I asked her out multiple times before she finally agreed. I later discovered that the reason for her hesitation was that she was waiting for her friends to approve of me. I found it a bit odd that she couldn't even say yes to a date without her friends' permission, but she explained that it was typical in her circle, so I didn't question it further. I've met her friends, and they seem like nice people, so I don't have any issues with them. I figured they were just looking out for her, and if that's what works for my girlfriend, then fine. A couple of weeks ago, she mentioned how she had always wanted to go on a beach trip with her partner, but for one reason or another, it had never happened. Her birthday was coming up, so I decided to surprise her with a beach getaway. I planned the whole thing and even booked a relaxing spa session for her to make it extra special. Of course, she had no idea about it, and I was careful not to let anything slip, even though I'm terrible at keeping secrets. I was really looking forward to this trip, especially since it was going to be the first major thing I'd done for her, and I wanted it to be something she'd always remember. But then, just a few days before her birthday, she sat me down and told me she wanted to go out partying with her friends. She explained that they had been planning to take her out for weeks and promised she'd make it up to me later. I asked if her friends could reschedule for another time, but she insisted that she was the one who wanted to spend her birthday with them and hoped I wouldn't take it personally. Of course, that didn't help at all, because it hurt knowing she didn't want to spend her special day with me. I tried to convince her, but in the end, she became frustrated and told me she wasn't going to change her mind and that I needed to accept her decision. I was really hurt by what she said, so I decided to cancel the trip entirely. I lost some money in the process, but at that point, I didn't care. I was just so angry and disappointed that she would choose to spend her birthday with her friends over me. I understand that she's known them for a long time, but as her boyfriend, I had been excited about spending that day with her. She goes out with her friends every weekend, and I've never had an issue with it because I know how important they are to her. I just wanted her to prioritize me this one time, which probably makes me sound selfish, but it stings knowing she always chooses her friends over me. After canceling the trip, I didn't even bother telling her what I'd planned. I had wanted it to be a surprise, but she had already ruined everything by saying she preferred being with her friends. Yesterday was her birthday, and as expected, she spent it partying with her friends. It looked like they had a great time. Even my friends found it odd, but I didn't care. I was upset the entire day and tried not to dwell on it. Today, she came over, and I tried to act as if nothing had happened. She seemed in a really good mood and started telling me. She began excitedly recounting how her friends had gotten her drunk and how much fun they'd had, not even noticing how hurt I looked. After a while, I felt like I was going to cry, but I didn't want to break down in front of her, so I excused myself to go to the bathroom. I was extremely upset about everything that had happened over the past few days, and had no idea how to express how neglected I felt without coming across as insecure. I splashed some water on my face, collected myself, and came back out, hoping to calmly talk to her about how she was making me feel. When I returned, I noticed that my girlfriend's mood had shifted. She looked serious, and my phone was clutched in her hand. As soon as she saw me, she came over, holding up my phone screen, and demanded an explanation as to why I had canceled her birthday trip. Apparently, the resort I had booked sent a message expressing regret over the cancellation and confirmed my refund. All the details were right there, and I guess she saw it and pieced together what had happened. But instead of feeling sorry or regretful, she seemed furious, which left me completely confused. I tried to stay calm and explained that I had canceled the trip the moment she told me she wanted to spend her birthday with her friends instead. I thought that would clear things up, but as soon as I said that, she completely lost it. She started yelling at me, accusing me of ruining her birthday. She was incredibly upset and said I had been immature for canceling the trip without telling her about it first. She claimed that if I had at least told her about the surprise, she might have reconsidered and come with me. I was baffled. I didn't understand how any of this was my fault. I had planned something special for her, but she had flat out rejected spending her birthday with me without even giving me a chance. I reminded her that I had tried to get her to spend the day with me, trying to reason with her. I reminded her that she was the one determined to go out with her friends and had fought with me when I tried to convince her otherwise. At that point, she got even more frustrated and called me immature and selfish. She also accused me once again of ruining her special day on purpose. That's when I lost my patience and snapped back, telling her that if she had just given me the chance to take her out, she would have known what I had planned, and this situation wouldn't have happened. I said that if anyone was to blame, it was her, and calling me immature wasn't going to change the fact that she had made her choice. I told her she needed to reevaluate her priorities and stop acting like she and her friends were still in high school. That comment hit a nerve, and she called me a jerk before storming out of my house in tears. It's been 2 hours since she left, and while I initially felt some relief after finally getting everything off my chest, I now feel like a total jerk. The image of her crying keeps playing in my head, and I can't shake the feeling that maybe I did ruin her birthday, even though the logical part of me knows I'm not entirely responsible for this. The truth is, I really like this woman, and despite her somewhat immature behavior when it comes to her friends, she's amazing in so many other ways. Don't get me wrong, I appreciate that she's loyal to her friends because it shows she's loyal and trustworthy in general. But there are times when it feels like she enjoys spending time with them more than she does with me, and that's been hard for me to deal with. I think anyone in my situation would feel the same. However, I'm starting to realize that maybe I acted too rashly this time and hurt her more than I intended. Now I'm left feeling guilty about what I said and what I did. Completely. I had initially thought that getting everything off my chest would bring me some relief, but instead, it left me feeling even more confused. On one hand, I want to apologize to her just to resolve this fight and move forward. On the other hand, I know this situation wasn't entirely my fault. She has always prioritized her friends over me, and while I understand that she's known them much longer, it doesn't make it hurt any less. Now I'm feeling lost and panicking because I fear that if I don't act soon, I might lose her. But at the same time, I don't feel like I should apologize, and that's why I'm asking for advice. Am I the asshole for canceling the beach trip I'd planned for my girlfriend's birthday after she told me she wanted to spend the day with her friends instead? Update. It's been a full day since our fight, and this is probably the longest we've gone without speaking to each other. It feels really strange, but I'm not going to be the first to apologize if that's what she's waiting for. I've spent a lot of time thinking about the situation, and I honestly can't see how I'm in the wrong here. I don't believe I did anything wrong, so I've decided not to apologize. I have a feeling my girlfriend has already told her friends about what happened, because earlier today, I noticed something odd on my social media. Some of her friends had blocked me, and those who hadn't were posting cryptic quotes and pictures with my girlfriend, implying that she deserved better. It really irked me that they were enabling her behavior and making her feel like the victim of something terrible, rather than the one responsible for the situation. What bothered me even more was how these same women who had always been so nice to me in person suddenly turned against me. I get that they're her friends, but it's frustrating to see them support her without considering that there are two sides to the story. Now, I'm not just upset with my girlfriend. I'm annoyed with her entire circle for amplifying this narrative that I'm the bad guy. I was prepared for the worst, and sure enough, it came. Earlier today, my girlfriend finally reached out, but instead of trying to talk things out, she told me that she had made the decision to end our relationship. She said her friends had helped her see things more clearly, and they convinced her that we were incompatible. She told me that I was too controlling and that I didn't respect her relationship with her friends. She didn't seem interested in hearing my side of the story, and it was clear that her mind was made up. Honestly, I wasn't even surprised at that point. I had already sensed this was coming based on how her friends were acting on social media. It just confirmed that they had been in her ear the whole time, pushing her toward this breakup. I felt devastated but also strangely relieved, knowing that I stayed true to myself and didn't give in just to avoid conflict. I told her that while I was deeply hurt, I respected her decision, and if she felt that her friends were more important than our relationship, then maybe this was for the best. It's just disheartening to know that her friends played such a major role in this outcome. Instead of helping her navigate through our issues in a mature way, they encouraged her to break up with me without any real discussion. I can't help but feel like they didn't want her to be in a serious relationship because it might have taken her away from their group. Looking back, I now realize that my girlfriend always had one foot out the door when it came to our relationship. It seemed like she was never fully committed, always relying on her friends for approval and guidance. That's no way to build a strong, healthy relationship. I'm sad that things ended this way, but I also know that I did everything I could to make it work. If she couldn't see that, then maybe we weren't right for each other after all. So here I am, 3 days later, single and still processing everything. It hurts, but I'm starting to see that this might have been a blessing in disguise. I want someone who values me as much as I value them, and someone who doesn't let outside influences dictate the course of our relationship. I'll heal and move on, but I know I deserve better than someone who can't prioritize me. That's when my girlfriend realized just how toxic their advice was. She admitted that in the moment, she started questioning if her friends really had her best interests at heart. The fact that they could so easily suggest manipulating or cheating on me to teach me a lesson was a huge red flag for her. She said that hearing them talk like that made her see the situation from a different perspective. She realized that, rather than offering healthy advice or supporting her through the issue, they were encouraging behavior that would only make things worse. She told me she left her friend's place soon after and spent the next couple of days reflecting on our relationship, what I meant to her, and how she had handled things. That's when she realized that I wasn't wrong for feeling hurt or disappointed, and that she had taken me for granted. She apologized for putting her friends above me and for not appreciating the effort I made to plan the beach trip for her birthday. She admitted that she let her friends influence her decisions too much and that it wasn't fair to me or to our relationship. By this point, I was still in shock, but I could see that she was genuinely remorseful. She said that if I gave her another chance, she would set clearer boundaries with her friends and prioritize our relationship more. She also promised to work on balancing her friendships and our relationship in a healthier way. She didn't want to lose me over this, and her actions over the last few days had made her realize how important I was to her. After listening to her, I took a moment to process everything. It was a lot to take in, and I didn't want to make a hasty decision. On one hand, I appreciated her coming to me and admitting her mistakes, but on the other hand, I wasn't sure if things would actually change moving forward. I didn't want to end up in a situation where her friends continued to have a negative influence on our relationship. But seeing her standing there, nervous and vulnerable, I knew that she was sincere in her apology. I told her that I needed time to think about everything, but that I appreciated her coming over and being honest with me. We sat down and talked more openly about what had happened, our expectations for the future, and how we could work together to build a stronger relationship. I'm not sure what the future holds, but for now, we've decided to give it another shot and see if we can make it work. I made it clear that if things don't change, we might have to reconsider, but for now, I'm willing to move forward with her. I guess time will tell if things truly improve. They told her that apologizing would make her look weak and give me more control in the relationship. That's when she realized just how toxic their mindset really was. My girlfriend explained to me that until that moment, she had always trusted her friends' opinions without question because they'd been a huge part of her life for so long. However, this situation opened her eyes to the fact that they weren't necessarily giving her advice that was in her best interest, but instead pushing her to act in ways that aligned with their own destructive relationship patterns. She said that her friends kept mocking her, calling her submissive, and claiming that this was why I, in their words, felt comfortable doing mean things to her. But that didn't sit right with her because deep down, she knew that I wasn't trying to be hurtful. She confessed that she had never faced such a serious issue with me before, so she hadn't realized how skewed her friend's advice would be when it came to something as important as our relationship. She also shared a bit more about her past, how this was her first serious relationship since high school. After her first boyfriend cheated on her when they went to college, she developed trust issues, and her friends had played a big role in convincing her to stay single or only have flings. They never thought anyone was worthy of her, and this was the first time she truly allowed herself to open up to someone on a deeper level. Even though we had only been together for less than a year, she already felt deeply connected to me and knew that she wanted to make things work, despite the fight we had. My girlfriend admitted that seeing her friend's behavior after our argument, mocking me on social media and laughing about it, made her realize just how toxic they were. It wasn't about offering genuine support or helping her work through relationship issues. It was about them making themselves feel better by tearing others down. She also started noticing that they could never maintain relationships for more than a few months, which confirmed that they weren't the best source of advice for her. She explained that by the end of the day with her friends, she had already made up her mind to apologize to me and fix things. However, her friends weren't having it. They continued to pressure her, saying that apologizing would set a bad precedent and that she should follow their advice instead of trusting her own instincts. But by then, she realized that she needed to make her own decisions based on what was best for her and our relationship, not on what her friends were telling her to do. At that moment, I saw how genuinely she regretted what had happened and how much she wanted to make things right. It was clear that she had grown from the experience, and that gave me hope for us moving forward. We talked for a long time about setting boundaries with her friends and focusing on building a stronger connection between us. I appreciated her honesty and vulnerability, and while it's going to take time to fully heal from this, I believe we can work through it together. Ultimately, I agreed to give our relationship another chance, and we're going to take things one step at a time. It's not going to be easy, but I think we've both learned a lot from this situation, and held her tightly. It was a lot to take in, but I could feel the sincerity in her words and actions. My girlfriend had chosen me over her toxic friends, and even though it must have been incredibly difficult for her, I was relieved that she finally saw what I had been worried about for so long. After the hug, we sat down and talked through everything. She explained in more detail how her friends had been controlling her decisions for years, and how she hadn't fully realized it until the situation blew up. It was clear that she was hurt by their behavior, but at the same time, she was ready to move forward without them if it meant having a healthier relationship with me. I told her that I understood why it had been hard for her to make this choice, and that I appreciated her honesty. I also admitted that, while her friends had upset me, I didn't want her to be completely alone. I suggested that we try to meet new people together, maybe find some couples or individuals who share similar values and goals. She agreed and said that she was ready to leave the toxic friend group behind and focus on building a more positive circle. As we talked, I realized that this situation, while painful, had actually brought us closer. My girlfriend had opened up to me in a way she hadn't before, and I felt like we were truly becoming partners, not just a couple. We made a plan to start fresh, work on our communication, and support each other more intentionally. I know that healing from this won't be an overnight process, and she may struggle with the loss of her longtime friends. But seeing her determination to prioritize our relationship over that toxic dynamic made me feel hopeful for our future. I told her that I'm here for her and that we'll get through this together. From now on, we're focused on building a healthier, more balanced relationship, one where we don't let outside influences get in the way of what truly matters. It feels like we're on the right path, and I'm looking forward to seeing where it leads us. Helpless seeing her go through this, especially after everything we've been through together. It's disheartening to witness the extent of her friends' vindictiveness. Their reactions have been way beyond what I anticipated, and it's clear that they're not handling the situation maturely at all. I've been doing my best to support her and help her stay strong through all of this. We've been talking a lot about how to handle the fallout and what steps to take to protect her well-being. Even though she's declined legal action for now, we're keeping an eye on the situation and documenting everything in case it escalates further. I'm also encouraging her to stay away from social media as much as possible to minimize the hurtful messages and posts. It's been really tough for both of us, but we're trying to focus on the positive aspects of our relationship and the plans we've made together, like the beach trip. I hope that by spending quality time together and reinforcing our connection, we can weather this storm and come out stronger on the other side. The situation with her friends has definitely been a harsh reminder of how some people can be incredibly toxic and destructive. It's frustrating that they're trying to undermine our relationship and hurt her this way. But despite the negativity, I'm hopeful that we can move past this and create a healthier, happier dynamic together. For now, we're focusing on each other and doing what we can to mitigate the impact of her friend's actions. We're hopeful that as time passes, things will settle down, and we can enjoy our time together without this cloud hanging over us." And told them that their threats were nothing more than an attempt to scare her into silence. I made it clear that their behavior was unacceptable, and that if they continued to harass her, I would consider taking legal action to protect her. I also reassured her that I'd support whatever decision she made moving forward. Seeing her stand up for herself and expose the truth about her friends was incredibly empowering. It was clear that she was reclaiming her voice and confronting the toxicity that had plagued her life for too long. Despite the anger and threats from her former friends, she seemed more determined than ever to move forward without their negativity hanging over her. Her actions sparked a lot of discussion among her old high school peers, many of whom were shocked by the revelation. It was a relief to see that others recognized the toxicity of her former friends and were supportive of her decision to speak out. This response also showed her that she wasn't alone and that there were people who understood and stood by her. We're continuing to focus on our relationship and the plans we've made. The beach trip and the time we're spending together are helping us heal and reconnect. I'm really proud of how she's handled this situation, and it's reaffirmed my commitment to standing by her side through thick and thin. We're both learning a lot from this experience, and while it's been challenging, we're hopeful that we're moving towards a healthier and more positive future. It's great to hear that you and your girlfriend are moving past this toxic situation and focusing on something positive. Standing up to her friends and drawing a firm boundary was a strong move, and it's clear that you both are taking control of the situation in a constructive way. It's also fantastic that you're planning a vacation to not only make up for the lost time, but also to celebrate overcoming this challenge together. Enjoying this trip together will be a well-deserved break and a chance to strengthen your bond. You both have been through a lot, but it sounds like you're emerging stronger and more united. Here's to hoping the vacation goes as planned and brings the joy and relaxation you deserve.